Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. This video is a rules to live by video. So if you're new as a college instructor, I really recommend these based off my own experience. And so just to dive in, the first rule to live by is to teach the same course the same way in the same semester. So if you're teaching 3 sections of the same course in the same semester, don't try to experiment with different assignments, different texts, whatever the case may be. Do it the same each time. Because you might think, oh, since I have 2 sections, I'll try this major assignment in this one and this major assignment in this one. So I'll just design this one unit differently. It won't be a big deal. Or you might think, oh, I'm going to try a novel in this one and then a different one on this one to see which one students respond to best. I can see the want for this. I've wanted this, but it makes so much work on your part to teach the same course different ways in the same semester. Because rather than having, okay, Monday I go in and teach this lecture 3 times, or I had this discussion, here are the questions I'll ask this day, you might have, okay, which class is it? All right, so first I teach this lesson this way, but then in the next section I'm gonna have to do this differently, and then in the next section we're behind 1 day, so now I have to remember that it becomes really complicated. So I recommend that, you know what, yes, you can experiment, but experiment all 3 times, right? You'll still have some variety. The discussions will change depending on student interest, how their answers go and lead to new follow-up questions in the other section. So it's not like it's gonna be the same thing over and over again, but having it be completely different on a unit level or on a text level puts a lot more work on your hands because of those differences. So I would experiment from a semester to another one versus between courses in the same semester. But on the other hand, don't teach the same type of assignment over and over again in the same course. So if you're teaching a literature course, 3 papers is a bit much, right? Especially if you have students who struggle with writing or who get anxious about writing. If they know all I'm doing is writing these 3 papers and that's 80% of my grade, that can be a really anxious experience for them. Versus, okay, well I have a small paper and a longer one, but I also have an exam where I'm gonna be just testing on terminology, remembering it and applying it, or have a group project that's a good amount of work that it's not going to be as hard writing a paper because it's more creative, or have a creative assignment versus only academic assignments. So having a diversity of major assignment types can be really helpful because hopefully students respond well to at least one, if not more of them. But if you only have a midterm exam and a final exam, and that's 90% of the grade, that's a lot of stress to put on these 2 assignments that are the same type. My third tip is that less is more when lesson planning. If you're teaching 16 weeks, don't pick 30 topics about your field to teach in that 16-week period because it's likely that's not going to happen well with your students. They'll get overwhelmed or they won't be able to really take in what you want them to about so much material. So yes, you want to have backup plans in case an assignment goes short in a class period, but you really want to make sure that you're not giving students so much material to cover in the weeks that you're teaching. So really think about how much can I really focus on concisely in my course. The 4th rule is to make grading as simple as possible for you. So I had in my first semester of teaching composition units where they were turning in 5 things each. And so it took me forever to grade those projects because of how much material I was collecting. So you really want to give some thought to turn in 1 thing for 1 unit, maybe 2 if needed. And so when you're thinking about your assignment design, how can you make sure that yes, you're doing the work you need to, it's complex, it's really in depth, but on your part, you're not going to be grading tons of things or something that takes a really long time to grade for just 1 student. So your design is going to matter a lot here in the assignments. And yes, it'll take hours, a lot of time for major projects to be graded, but it doesn't have to take like hours upon hours upon hours upon days, right? If you design your assignments in a way where the grading isn't as complex as it could be. And the 5th rule of life that I recommend here is to make sure that you're using formative assessment in your classroom. Because if you have students turn in a paper at the end of a unit and you never received samples of their writing beforehand, some students will be fine, right? Some students will be great. But you'll have plenty of students, most likely, that something went wrong early on in their process and that caused major problems throughout the whole paper. So you require them to write an argumentative thesis, but you never actually saw their thesis and it's exploratory. Or there is no thesis, right? They're just exploring a topic or they're just talking about their opinions about a topic, right? And so now you have the paper, what do? Do you say redo that paper while also working on unit 2? Probably not, right? Because that's going to be a lot of stuff to put on the student to do in the second unit. So you really want to have, okay, turn in an outline, turn in your thesis statement, turn in your first paragraph. So I make sure that they're on the right track in the beginning, in the middle, somewhere, before they turn in the final product. I also recommend doing this as far as assessing how the course is going. So I recommend midterm chats a lot, because it's basically mid-semester where you're asking students to reflect on the experience in your course. So what's going well? What isn't? What can be improved on their part and on my part? And you can tweak small things if you can, so that the second half of the semester goes better, evals are better, because you asked them how it was going and what you can do to make it a better experience for them. So formative assessment in the assignments themselves, but also in asking them how the course is going and how it can be improved upon. What's confusing them? What are they excited about, right? And do more of the excitement and clear up the confusion. So these are 5 rules. I can have more if you're interested in more. Let me know in the comments. Click like if you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future content. I'll see you next time.